Hello, welcome to the channel. I'm Chris Slater, retired F-16 pilot. Today's show, we're going to go over some interesting exchanges between Chris Mellon and Sean Kirkpatrick, and also Chris Mellon with a senior U.S. official. Did Chris Mellon reveal evidence of a crash retrieval program? What do you guys think? It sounds like they definitely were on the trail of a crash retrieval program and an interesting UFO case in Kingman, Arizona in 1953. They also mention a gatekeeper, some sort of very high level senior executive services 2 level gatekeeper in the US military. Thanks for being here. It's great to see you. Let's get to the video.
Chris Lato, welcome to Lato Files.
Christopher Mellon served as the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence during both the Clinton and Bush administrations. He was later Security and Information Operations. He's also served as the staff director of the Senate Intelligence Committee. So that's how he's been able to help with the intelligence committees. He has a background in history from Yale University and a master's degree from Kennedy School of Government. When he was in government, he was involved in overseeing highly sensitive U.S. intelligence functions, including satellite reconnaissance and the development of classified technologies. This is from his Substack. Link is in the description. Another signal exchange. This is the type of information that has caused some of us to take allegations of recovered off-world materials seriously. Recently, as a result of a FOIA request, the Department of Defense released some signal exchanges I had with Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, former director of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. We'll go through a few of those in a second. The release surprised but did not offend me, as I'm a strong supporter of government transparency. However, it also reminded me of another signal message that the public might find of interest that is also pertinent to the alleged recovery of off-world technology. Okay, this is the Freedom of Information Act request. He mentions, Dear Mr. Greenwald, this is the final response to your November 2nd, 2023 Freedom of Information Act request. This is from the Black Vault. This whole release is very interesting. Again, I will leave links in the description to this as well. But this is the discussion between Christopher Mellon and Sean Kirkpatrick. This is from Sean Kirkpatrick. Grusch has made claims that he's contacted us and we've never responded. That's just not true. He's also made claims that we don't have access to investigate his claims. That's also not true. If I recall correctly, you indicated he refused to come talk with us, and you're quoted as suggesting as such. I'd suggest you emphasize the need to come speak with us. You have the contact email. Hi, Sean. Do you have a specific example of Dave claiming he's contacted AARO? It was on the interview Sunday. Pentagon is preparing a response. I'm happy to check on that. And the big issue comes that Dave obviously does not trust Kirkpatrick. Sounds like they have bad blood from 2015. There's even a mention that in this exchange. And Dave doesn't trust the AARO office's security apparatus. We'll go through that in a second. I spoke with Dave, and his first question was, why hadn't AARO gotten all the information from the Intelligence Community Inspector General? It's all there and fully documented to include confirmation the program is real from active, cleared insiders. Department of Justice has to release it since it's part of a criminal investigation. They haven't yet. He needs to come tell us separate from his criminal complaint. He obviously doesn't have to, and even said, how do I know Sean is not a target of the ongoing criminal investigation? So obviously, Dave does not trust Sean Kirkpatrick. Dave says he did talk to Sean Kirkpatrick many months ago on a Tandberg system, and that Kirkpatrick didn't follow up after that. Kirkpatrick comes back. All of that is both absurd and false. I haven't had a conversation with him for years. If he wants this brought out and investigated, then yes, he obviously does have to come and talk to us. His continued refusal to speak with us only hurts the case. Then they get into a discussion of lawyers. Okay, there isn't an Office of General Counsel for Congress. There's many different ones. He says, well, there's congressional lawyers that get law. We have the ability. And then there's a big discussion on what sort of issues they have. Sean Kirkpatrick then comes back, and yes, you are defending and adjudicating, and you're undermining the very organization you purported to help establish for this purpose. Really odd. I try to bring everyone to AARO I can. I'm trying to help put Dave in touch with your general counsel if you can provide simple contact info. After some other discussions where Chris says, look, I've been in touch. I've tried to bring everyone to AARO that I can. So I'm surprised you're saying I'm defending his allegations. All we need is some contact info. And finally, Kirkpatrick says, I've asked Office of General Counsel for contact info, waiting to hear back. Chris says, I'll be happy to provide the information to Chuck, which is the lawyer, if I can get the information. And finally, what comes out is there's no contact info. There's no contact info for Kirkpatrick as well, because he doesn't give out his info based on threats. So he relays, this is the official position of the Pentagon, released to media Tuesday, approved by the Office of General Counsel and the Secretary. By law, AARO may receive all UAP-related information, including any classified national security information involving military, intelligence, and intelligence-related activities at all levels of classification, regardless of any restrictive access controls, special access programs, or compartmented access programs. Moreover, there's no restriction to AARO receiving any past or present UAP-related material. And it continues there. We actually don't know what it said. It looks like some time. This is after a few days. Chris comes back. I passed that along to Dave for his attorney's review. For your message above, I'll seek to avoid further communication unless it is something that seems extraordinarily urgent or you initiate. No response. Well, okay. I'll get that off to Dave and his attorney this morning. Thanks. Dave Grusch just does not trust the AARO office, does not trust Sean Kirkpatrick, and it comes down to security. Kirkpatrick's asking for all of the information Dave has already given to Senate Intelligence Committees as well as the Inspector General. So he's already briefed it, sounds like multiple times, all the information, given all the details, and now Sean Kirkpatrick wants it as well. But Dave said, just go talk to them. Unfortunately, they can't release it because it's actually a criminal investigation ongoing. And that's where Dave says, how do I know that Sean Kirkpatrick isn't the target? So it sounds like Dave Grusch may, in fact, suspect Sean Kirkpatrick is a part of the allegations against him. Also interesting, now we have signal messages. So do you have a phone number and or email for David Grusch? I would like to invite him in for an interview. This is just next in the Freedom of Information Act request. Yeah, but let me ask him first. He has bad blood with Sean going back to 2015. I'll tell him that only you want to talk to him. Sounds like a plan. Thank you. So there's even mention of bad blood. Dang it. Dave will only say that Sean knows how to contact him. There really is bad blood with Sean from Dave's perspective. Interesting response. Well, thanks for checking. Much appreciated. And then they released emails from David Grusch. I mean, I'm sure they didn't ask David Grusch if they could release these emails. Seems like they released to show that they really did try and contact him. But this is from David Grusch. Good afternoon. Thank you for a review. Please address my specific concerns that I sent via an email on 19 November 2023. David Grusch. And these are really the issues he had. The key issue here, David Grusch says, is that many of these activities have conventional, classified, and compartmented security classification guides that also cover non-UAP activities as well. So that's it, non-UAP activities, because they say we cover everything UAP activity. But he said, what about all the other programs that say non-UAP activities? To discuss the UAP-related activities would also expose these conventional SAP mission areas, so Special Access Program mission areas. An oral history interview subject must also be absolved of this obligation to protect this information as well. Some of it may be bigoted or waived. So as discussed Friday, I'm seeking an ODNI CAPCO determination. So someone else determining to absolve an oral history interview subject. He also needs to conduct the interview at the HCS operations restricted handling level. That's amazing. Has the CIA Office of Security or Directorate of Operations provided a memo in this regard for oral history interview subjects? Has the OS, Office of Security, provided a memo to also cover managed need-to-know projects not directly reported to ODNI CAPCO? Amazing. I think Dave knows this in detail. Lastly, what signed policy does AARO have to receive non-Title 10 SAPs? Has the NSC Security Director, National Directory Program Management Staff, or DOE SAPCO provided a memo similar to the DoD SAPCO memo you provided? So from Dave's perspective, he's already given all of this information multiple times. And now Sean Kirkpatrick, who he doesn't trust, and the AARO office, who said before he even came out, said there's no evidence at all of extraterrestrial non-human intelligence. Now they want all that information again, but Dave is not comfortable with how they're asking. It seems like he thinks he's being set up, possibly. They're trying to trap him into some sort of security issue and shut down any of his statements. So interesting developments there. It's all on Signal and Freedom of Information Act. We can't get so much information in Freedom of Information Act, but then they'll just release email exchanges because it makes AARO look good, like they actually tried to get information from David Grusch. but that was also in June. The investigation had been going on much earlier than that. Okay, so that brings us back to Chris Mellon. Look at this amazing exchange that now he shared. And this, again, another signal exchange was approved for release. Let's check this one out. Okay, so this is circa 2020. On the right is Christopher Mellon, and on the left is a senior U.S. government official. It's blanked out. So, senior U.S. government official and I are making huge progress getting into the crash retrieval program. He plans to meet with you at some point. The blank would be slack-jawed if they found out what we now know. Looks here, 45 could be the year versus something else. Right now, we haven't gone that far back. We're dealing with the recovered UAP that landed in Kingman, Arizona in the 50s. Look at that, amazing. We're vacuuming up info as blank gets read in. We now know the management structure and security control systems and ownership of the crash retrieval program. We also know who recovers landed or crashed UAPs under what authorities. We also know that a still highly classified memo by a Secretary of the Air Force in the 1950s is still in effect to maintain the cover on UAPs. So right there, a senior U.S. government official saying that they know the management and security apparatus of a crash retrieval program, and also mentioning an actual crash retrieval that happened in Kingman in 1953. That is just unbelievable. It also states there was a security memo. So some sort of highly classified, he said, security memo labeling the cover up. So what is the cover story that they're going to use? And it's still in effect. That's from the 1950s. So that's covering the crash retrieval program. Okay. And then finally, we also know that SES-2, this is Senior Executive Service 2, who's the Air Force gatekeeper. Name redacted here, but provided to all these names have been revealed to Congress. So they should know the gatekeeper.
This is Michael Schratt on the Richard Dolan Show. A link to that show is in the description. I highly recommend it. He gives detailed information on the Kingman, Arizona crash that happened near Kingman in 1953. The UFO crash is a reported incident said to have occurred May 21, 1953, near Kingman, Arizona. According to accounts from decades later, an unknown object reportedly crashed in the desert, and the site was quickly secured by military personnel from nearby bases, including those stationed at Area 51. The UAP is less well documented than other famous incidents like Roswell. Much of the information comes from a limited number of sources, primarily from an engineer named Arthur Stansel. Stansel, who later provided a detailed account of the event, claims he was taken to the crash site to help investigate the incident. According to his description, the object was a metallic saucer-shaped craft approximately 30 feet in diameter. Stansel reported the craft appeared to have collided with a rocky outcrop, causing significant damage to one side of the object. The Kingman UFO crash is often cited in ufology as an example of a covered-up extraterrestrial event. So that is the Kingman, Arizona UFO forced landing, Schratt called it. They said 4 humanoid beings were found near the craft. The one witness, Arthur Stansel, is a nuclear engineer, and he said they had 40 other different specialists examine the craft separately. Then it was transported to Area 51 via an M25 tanks transporter. Thanks again to Michael Schratt. He's actually been on the show, as well as Richard Dolan.
Did Christopher Mellon reveal the crash recovery program? Finally, they mention here SES-2, who's the Air Force gatekeeper. What is an SES-2? Would be senior officials who play crucial roles in leading all of the major administrations. That would be director of acquisition programs, chief scientist of large technical direction Air Force research efforts, chief financial officer for a major command, director of human resources or personnel, civilian officials, essentially. So an interesting week in the UFO community. We needed some sort of shot in the arm. This seems like it from Chris Mellon. Thanks to Chris Mellon for all his efforts. What do you guys think about that discussion between Kirkpatrick and Mellon? Kirkpatrick seems a little difficult to work with, but he obviously is frustrated that David Grusch will not come and speak to them. Dave obviously doesn't trust Sean Kirkpatrick, at least. I hate to blame him. After what we've seen coming out of AARO, it doesn't seem like they're really on the side of the whistleblowers. They seem to discount everything, even though they hadn't even heard any discussions from David Grusch, and they hadn't tried to contact him before June. So check out the links in the description to Chris Mellon's Substack or the Black Vault if you want to read more information on that, as well as Richard Dolan's show on the Kingman UFO. Thanks for being here. Please smash the like button if you did like this video and subscribe for future content. You can support the channel. I really appreciate it. Like all these great people at patreon.com/Chris Lado. Thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.